Agus Fáilte go Gaillimh, welcome to a now sunny Pearse Stadium. Still a little bit of the customary breeze coming through. It is continuation of a quarter-final weekend here on Galway GATV. This, of course, is a collab in conjunction with Stream Sports and Galway Bay FM, and it's day two. We've had one name in the hat already. That was Mark Cullen from yesterday. They had a fine victory over their neighbours Uachtarard. 3 ongoing today, and we're focusing on another derby, this time from a city perspective, Eddie, and it's near rivals and probably a near outcome come the end. It's Salthill Knocknacarra, fancied by many, but there's a lot of firepower on the St James's side as well. We could be in for a fascinating afternoon ahead.
Yeah, most certainly, Johnny. You would have said at the outset that Salthill would have been in the top 1, if not 2, in the county. So they're here in a quarter-final. They would have expected to be here. James's, on the other hand, have had a really positive group campaign, having lost the first game, but have been really, really bright. So they're here on merit, both teams, and like you touched on, it is a city derby, and it brings with it its own level of excitement and a bit of nerves on both sides. But like you touched on, Pearse Stadium here in September is where both teams would like to have been, and it is in line for a real cracker here this afternoon.
So it's good news, firstly, during the week, and congratulations to the 3 guys, 3 Galway All-Stars, all from the Salthill Knocknacarra team who were out doing their work behind them. It's a magnificent achievement for the club, first and foremost.
Most certainly, and we saw in the match programme for the first 3 games, the first 6 named forwards on the programme were all inter-county players, and like you touched on, not just involved in the county, having a very big impact in it. They had a number of All-Stars last year, and 2 years ago with Robert Finnerty and John Maher, and again nominations this year, and so well deserved. And we see Matthew Thompson, the impact that he had, and I think he's also shortlisted for Young Footballer of the Year, and rightly so, well deserved.
Yeah, that really sets the scene, doesn't it? We have the nominee for Young Footballer of the Year this year, and then on the opposite end of the pitch, the current, still reigning Footballer of the Year. That I see St James is coming out here as well. You know, matchups galore. This is going to be such an exciting game to look forward to.
Certainly, Johnny, and like you touched on, Paul Conroy, a mainstay in the St James's for the last 20 years since they were promoted from intermediate to senior, and he's been such a mainstay for Galway, and obviously so deserving of Player of the Year last year. Again, he's there, and we touched on other county players like Jack and Sam O'Neill. They'll be looking for big performances from both Jack and Sam. And then you have, when you touch on, is Johnny Dewan, who's back in their ranks again, and we know the experience that he has in the maroon jersey. You look at Jack Nolan as well, and in the corner he's been really prolific, and Jack has worn the maroon and white of Galway at underage level too. So no shortage of experience in both sides, and like we touched on, it has all the makings of a real cracker and a real right good city derby.
It absolutely is. Well, that's to come here in Pearse Stadium. Looks like the weather so far is playing ball. A huge afternoon ahead. It's the Secours Galway Senior Football Championship. It's another quarter-final. It is Salthill Knocknacarra versus St. Day 2 of quarter-final weekend in the Galway Football Championship. We had some thrilling action here yesterday. First game was an absolute belter. That was in the Sweeney All Intermediate Championship, where highly fancied Caltra had an almighty scare from Mill and Ireland. That was some game of football. And the second one then, attention focused back as we are today to the Secours Galway Senior Football Championship, already into the hat for the semi-final draw, which will take place later this evening. Mark Cullen, they were victors over their neighbours Uachtarard in a pretty impressive victory in the end for Carl Clancy's side. And it's a battle of neighbours again today here. It's all action here in Salthill, where Salthill Knocknacarra have made 2 hops and a skip over from their clubhouse just down to the goal to our left hand side, and they host St James's. So a big game to look ahead to. We will start and give you some team news, and anyone that hasn't been following Galway football in particular will certainly recognise a lot of names. There's 3 All-Star nominations in the Salthill Knocknacarra set up as well. So we'll give you an eye on things to come there as well. So I know we're very close to our own Aveen, but we will start and give you the Salthill lineup. So in goal is number 1, Donald O'Sullivan. The full-back line now is number 19, Derek Conneely. Full-back is with number 6, Evan Wynn. And alongside him will be number 2, Owen Deely. Half-back line, 17, Mark Mannion. 5 is Aaron Mannion. And 10 is Carl Sweeney. Middle of the field is Michael Kitt. He wears 8. Alongside him, one of the All-Star nominees, 11, John Marr. The half-forward line sees number 28, Niall Hanaho. He is at wing forward. Centre forward is Matthew Thompson, of course, All-Star nominee and Young Forward Ball of the Year nominee as well. And alongside him is number 12, Daniel Flaherty. Inside line then, another All-Star nominee, Robert Finnerty. Number 24 is Charlie Power, and number 23 is Robert Walzer. St James's, of course, they have the current Footballer of the Year, Paul Conroy, in his lineup there as well. Eddie, have you spotted something, a late change of drama there?
Yeah, no, just did touch on. I don't seem to see Sam O'Neill in the lineup for St James's, so he's a big loss for St James's. Yeah, certainly is. We'll have a look actually on the St James's thing. We might have a minute before our on Aveen. So in goal is number 1, Keane Costello. 5 in full back line is Owen Finnerty. 3 is Carl O'Regan. Number 2 is Jack Folan. The half forward line sees number 19, Ryan O'Toole. Number 12 is Jonah Culligan. And number 7, Dale Masterson. Middle of the field in, Reigning Footballer of the Year, Paul Conroy. Alongside him is Jack O'Neill. 21 at wing forward is Desi Hines. 6 is Johnny Dwan. 11 is Dan McNulty. 13 is Jack Nolan. Keep an eye out for him. He's one of the sharpshooters. 15 is Stephen McCooey. And 17 is Brian Kane. Both sides are waiting for our on Aveen here in Salthill. It's a beautiful day. A little bit of a breeze. We were pitch side a little bit earlier on. It looks nice and calm from down here. When you're down on the playing surface as we were a little while ago, Eddie, there's still a little bit of a significant breeze out there as well. There certainly is, yeah. And again, typically blowing into the Rockbarton Road end.
And we will pause firstly here for our on Aveen. So that is everything out of the way in terms of the build-up. All waiting now for referee for today, Austin O'Connell, to start things going here as he throws in the football. Taking a quick scan around for matchups and keeping an eye on things. It'll be Salthill Knocknacarra who have the elements and the breeze in the first half. The goal down to our right hand side, the Rockbarton end, is normally the 2-pointer goal. Austin O'Connell has gone for an early sprint here as well, as they're coming together of a couple of bodies. He's fairly famously laying down the law there over there, as I think Robert Finnerty was being introduced to the game as well. He's ushing Rob Finnerty out. Is it the gum shields? It's like a schoolboy just telling him to get out over the sideline. I'm not quite sure what that is about, but certainly adds to the drama. Finian Hanley's going for a rundown, a little bit confused as everyone else is going on. Might be the gum shields, is it, Eddie? Yes, the goods have been passed.
Yeah.
And I think
looks to be the gum shield. I think he's asked Finian Hanley to give a gum shield to Robert Finnerty, but he's not allowed partake in the first play. So it's quite an unusual one. I'd expect if they scanned all 30 players, a lot would not be wearing gum shields, but that appears to be the rule that Austin's implementing, and Salthill will have to start with 14 men for the first attack.
Yeah, well, if they had pre-planned something off it as well, particularly he's a sharpshooter in that distance. They got the ball in the loop. Mighty fancies. He's been just getting some words of encouragement. I'd love to see what percentage of players have the gum shield down the sock at this stage as well. But anyways, we have commenced action here, and Salthill do get possession of the football there in their customary blue kit. They're attacking with the elements from left to right here on a Sunday afternoon, where quarter-final action of the Bon Secours Galway Senior Football Championship takes centre stage. And now Robert Finnerty is belatedly coming into the game 24 seconds later. Truth be told, he did miss a hell of a lot, but that change that you spotted there in the warm-up as well, Eddie, no Sam O'Neill, that's a big loss for St James's.
Big loss for St James's. I know that Sam had been carrying a fairly serious knock, had got through the last round of the group phase, but obviously hasn't recovered in time to partake in today's game, and a really big loss. He's been on the Galway panel for the last 2 years, and they'd be looking for him for leadership. But again, there's still no shortage of leaders. His own brother Jack is out there, Paul Conroy, Johnny Duane, like we touched on. Jack Nolan has been excellent, so he has throughout the group stage.
You just have to just almost drop your jaw at times. Outside of the right, sprays the point attack. James goes through an opportunity straight away. They're going to punch it up and punch it over the bar. Might have been a little bit more happy to take the point in the end is Desi Hines. It's the first score of the game, but that Paul Conroy switch of attack, and it's not just going from left to right, it's the pace, the zip, the encouragement that gives. Probably happy to take the point in.
Yeah.
May have possibly forced a goal.
There probably was a goal chance on, but yeah, the vision by Paul, but not just the vision, but the execution to be able to carry it out. Johnny Duane then cutting in along the Turra side, and a really good score to put St James's one up, a nice fisted point. But like you touched on, half a goal chance, but he went for the point.
So here comes Salthill themselves. It's Daniel Flaherty, who has a lot of pace and abundance, gives it off the shoulder, was still on the go. It's almost goal scoring opportunity to the end and into the back of the net. And how about that? One into the pitch to the other. Thought it might have been a goal at one side. It's definitely goal for Salthill Knocknacarra. Blistering pace on the counter attack there, and rifled into the bottom corner of the left, and Salthill get an early green flag.
Yeah, fantastic goal from Salthill Knocknacarra. Perfect response to the early point from St James's, but just showed the way they penetrated and ran at speed, and St James's had no answer. Really well finished.
Daniel Flaherty with the pace initially as well, really, I suppose broke through on that move there. Really didn't it? Just burst through the St James's, and that's what he has in his abundance.
He certainly does. Yeah, he has that, and they're on the attack again. Yeah,
this is Salthill Knocknacarra. High danger of this ball up towards Robert Finnerty. But King Costello was able to come out and grateful possession back for his side there, as they try and just settle the ship here. So just to recap, pretty frantic couple of moments of attack. A point for St James's, possibly goal scoring opportunity, and then Salthill Knocknacarra themselves go straight down the pitch and rattle a green flag. It's over to St James's now as things stand. The shot comes in, a beautiful score, a brilliant response for St James's. 2 points now, their early tally at 3 minutes gone, and the scores, you can hardly keep track of them all. Yeah,
really good score. 3 attacks for both sides and 3 scores. It's really bright start, 3 minutes in, and 2 scores for St James's, and the goal from Salthill.
So they go short with the kick out. Yesterday a lot of sides went really long with it, particularly in the intermediate game. It led to some almighty old school scraps. So far a few have gone a little bit shorter, a little more off the training ground, you would suggest. As we watch Salthill Knocknacarra go on the attack themselves. A real running team, aren't they, Eddie?
They are, and they have that pace to be able to break the line and penetrate in attack and indeed defence, and really, really dangerous when they do.
So they've got 1 goal so far. That's their tally. 2 points to St James's. 4 minutes gone here in Salthill. Finnerty showed the right, now goes for left, going for a 2-point effort. Is it going to squeeze in? It's out towards the left hand side and wide. Their first wide of the game. There goes the 100% accuracy, but I think Finnerty is just setting a little bit of a sighter for himself there.
Yeah, no, it was the right option. Went for the 2-pointer, well within his range, but just didn't come in enough and tailed out to the left and wide.
And just in the midst of the madness there, just to confirm the Salthill Knocknacarra goal, Young Football of the Year nominee Matthew Thompson, who has a rattle to the net, gets an early marker in the game, and what a year he has. What a second part of the year in particular. He's just growing from stride to stride. Stray ball there, but in a weird way Daniel O'Flaherty did enough by just getting his body in the collision and kept the move flowing there as well.
Yeah,
definition of a hospital pass, wasn't it?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, Robert Finnerty overhit it. He didn't do Daniel O'Flaherty any favours, but Daniel's physicality more or less won it from. And to be fair, Austin allowed the play to progress. There wasn't a free there, but he has awarded a free now to Salthill Knocknacarra. That is probably, I would think, it's a difficult shot, but well within Robert Finnerty's range, and it will be for a 2-pointer.
Yes, what is he? Just inside the 45. He's going to go outside of the left. He cuts across the ball, has the accuracy. It's going to tail out. It's his, and he's side a second wide of the game. So it's still the Matthew Thompson goal to Salthill Knocknacarra. 2 points for St James's. 5.5 minutes gone here. And I suppose all we can really say, Eddie, is the game is living up to the early billing so far.
Yeah, we've heard the early billing in relation to this city derby and the progress that both sides had made throughout the group, and it has, to be fair, it's very intense. The midfield battle's interesting. Michael Kitt is out there and Paul Conroy. There's a lot of big men out there, so that's going to be pivotal. Obviously John Maher too, so who starts to win them. And St James's first 3 kickouts have been won by Salthill Knocknacarra in the middle of the pitch, and that's going to be an important area, like I touched on, for both sides.
This ball is intercepted at the back, fly kick down the line, but not before it crossed the sideline over there. So a sideline ball which Conroy is going to cross there to try and take. They'll need to get a football first. Thankfully the rain has stayed away here as well, so good scatter of people on the terrace on the far side. Conroy is looking up, and that familiar punt in towards the corner. Ball goes in with such a zip. It's the forward's dream. He's kind of half hovering on the loop here as well, encouraging the ball to go in field. St James is happy to move it in towards the corner, where they shuffle it through the hands in there. And it's a big punt kick backwards, back to pretty much where the sideline started. And Johnny Dewan then, ever the warrior to pull the strings at the heart of the St James's team, is going to go for a run himself. Makes the 45, needs a bit of help. Finds O'Neill, who has options down the side. The score is a little bit too heavy. It's a beautiful playing condition, but certainly starting to feel the elements a little bit there. Now Johnny Dewan sprays in towards the middle. St James's being patient, being composed against the elements. Ball inside. It's a bit of a stretch at the back there. As they're coming together of bodies, it's almost a double turnover, but Salthill Knocknacarra do get the possession back, and now they want to build from the back themselves. Mar gives a quick hand pass off the shoulder this side. Well, it's picked at pace, and now Salthill Knocknacarra, they move it through their hands. Thompson in field it goes. Hanaho gives it off the shoulder again towards Thompson, and you have pretty much 2 quarterbacks either side. I know we use the NFL and Croke Park at the moment, but Johnny Dewan and Matthew Thompson pretty much appear to be the early door quarterbacks, as they have been over
the dictating the play. And James is in attack being very patient, to be fair, when they are moving forward, and they probably will be the happier the two sides. Despite being down by a point, there is a fairly significant breeze, and that's Salthill Knocknacarra's third wide of the first half, and like we touched on, I think St James's will be the happier of the two sides in the earlier exchanges.
So another kick out, and this become interesting now, because the last few have been gobbled up as the officials remove a stray pair of gloves over towards the sideline, very close towards the sideline, and again Salthill Knocknacarra get it, and this is dangerous now, because look at the options coming through. This is a half-goal opportunity. Mar takes it. Oh, it's the flag on the outside of the post, just wide. Nearly the Ulster nominee rattling the back of the net. But it was one of those situations where I'm not quite sure he had goal on his mind initially. It opened up, and I feel like that Johnny Glynn quote, well, I'll have to paraphrase, I'll keep going, and then I might hit it.
Yeah, he seemed to be caught in two minds. It just opened up for him, and the goal opportunity came about, and he was right to take the shot. He was just unlucky. It tailed off to the right, but again Salthill Knocknacarra winning, and that's the 5th St James's kick out that Salthill have won, so it's definitely an area that they need to look at.
King Costello can't keep booting it over towards that high right side, or it's going to keep coming back straight on top of him, and particularly with the pace that Salthill and Knocknacarra have in their reservoir as well. But all things, as we continue on, come up to 10 minutes of action now. It's still that Matthew Thompson goal is the only score so far. Rob Finnerty trying to change that, well, this time he dummies it towards Maher when close a couple of moments ago. So it's a goal to Salthill and Knocknacarra. 2 points for St James's. His position now is taken up by Mannion. Finnerty gets it out, sprays it over towards the left hand side, where Daniel Flaherty has already cut through a good few times, thinking about go back on that trusty left boot. He shoots on the distance. Has he curled it in? He hasn't. And the wides are starting to tally up. Number 5 by my count now, Eddie.
Yeah, that's five wides, 3 for Salthill and Knocknacarra in the first 10 minutes. So again, with the breeze, a lot of those are scoreable, and 2 of them were 2-pointers. So that'll show you it's 7 points have probably gone astray for Salthill and Knocknacarra. And plus a goal scoring opportunity for John Maher.
Of course, as well. Now, what will he do now? Like, it looks like they're going to continue the tactic of swarming everyone over on that right hand side, but you'd question the wisdom of it, unless it's a dummy. No, this one's gone central, so they are listening to us. Up go the bodies. Oh, brilliant catch out of the sky there. Jack Nolan gets his side on the counter attack coming through here. McNulty plays the ball in field. It's a scrap, and it's tidied up at the back there. Just another nearly moment for St James's.
Yeah, it's early exchanges, and it's a quarter-final against the city rival. It's a nervy game, and some young players out there too, so there are some mistakes, which is probably to be expected.
Oh, Matthew Thompson's not going to squeeze in. It's not. Do you know what? We're right behind it. I thought it was going to arc in with the breeze. It would have taken the roof off the place had that gone over. But it's still his goal, remarkably, despite all the possession that Salthill and Knocknacarra have had in the opening 11 and a half minutes. Their goal to 2 points to St James's. St James's will probably be very happy.
Most certainly they will, yeah. 11 minutes on the clock. Cian Costello on the last kick out opted for the stand side to his left, and it was a really good take by Jack Nolan, but it was subsequently turned over while on the attack. It's out again to him.
Oh, the bodies go, but it's picked up there by Dan McNulty. It's starting to get, and Mr. Connell's blowing like hell here on the whistle. He's looking around for a player. Paul Conroy looks like he's going to be the receiving end of this one. Now he's walked away. Certainly laying down the law pretty aggressively so far. We saw that incident at the start, which I haven't seen in quite some time. It's indicating a little bit of a push, or he's getting an elbow back. So yellow card has been flashed there in the midst of all that. Didn't see a hell of a lot in that one, I have to say, unless I've missed something off the ball.
No, I didn't see too much. That's Daniel McNulty. He's the recipient of the yellow card, but Austin seemed to indicate I think an action with his arm to the body. So again, he appears to have given the yellow card, and Daniel didn't seem to remonstrate, which would suggest that it probably was a fair grant of a card.
Salthill and Knocknacarra themselves. Rob Walter, can he get the first point of the game? He can. Remarkably, it's taken almost 30 minutes of action, but 1-1 now for Salthill and Knocknacarra to the 2 points as St James's, and I think that'll definitely cool the blood pressure of Finian Hanley and his backroom staff in front of us there now. Yeah,
they needed that score, like we touched on. They have been in ascendancy in the middle third, but just haven't been as effective as they would have liked in the attack in third. But again, that's a score that puts them 2 points up.
So again, it's back to Costello's favourite high right, up by the bodies, but it's Salthill and Knocknacarra again, who come down with possession of the football. And now there's bodies down. I think it's Paul Connery who's down there off the ball as well. Let's see what the decision will be. It was caught initially by Michael Kitt, I believe. A fine pluck out of the sky, and a take 2. He's able to take what I think is his mark in the end, but either way, keeps possession for his side. Cross now, Mark Mannion has open country in the right hand side, back towards Finnerty. Dummy solo, will he go off the right? No, again he thought about, scoops the ball back towards Aaron Mannion. Mannion now on the St James's 45. Keep on possession now is Daniel Flaherty, soloing across the width of the pitch, almost looking for an option inside. So it's very swarmed in there, isn't it? Now Maher will try, and you imagine, just change it and run over the other side, and that he does, and punches the ball in towards the corner. It's a good clever play, gets some movement, because it was just very congested there. Shot comes in from distance, and it's going to tail out towards the right hand side and wide. Charlie Power with that latest effort, and it's wide number 6 for Salthill Knocknacarra, who've definitely been shooting early, you would suggest, but just the 1-1 on the scoreboard from their perspective to the 2 points of St James's.
Yeah, again, a disappointing wide. Charlie Power would have expected to have scored that. It's interesting, some of the matchups from St James's have been interesting in the early stages. We can see Jack Folan is really giving close attention to Robert Finnerty, and that'll be an interesting matchup to keep an eye on as the game progresses.
So it's St James's with possession back, and now Johnny Dewan just picks it up. Paul Connery walks around him. He's having a conversation here with some of his manager. Dewan now goes outside of the boot, straight down the eye of the gun in the centre forward position, taken on the loop there by Cleverly McCooey over towards the right hand side. Now can they force the opportunity? The shot comes in. Is it good? The fist pumps are going. It certainly is good. It's a fine response from St James's. They've had to see a lot of the ball being in the opposition, and it's a fine score in the end. Their third of the game, and it's Joanna Culligan who got a fine strike over on that right hand side, the third point of the game.
Yeah, really good score from the right hand side into a stiff breeze, and you could hear from the St James's crowd, they were delighted with that. Really patient build up in the attack, and like we touched on, a really good score.
Yeah, it's one of those where as soon as he let fly, the fist pumps are going. That's when you know it's hit the sweet spot straight away. Kit now sprays it over on the left hand side. So 1-1 for Salthill Knocknacarra, 3 points for St James's. 16 minutes gone here in the first half. Salthill Knocknacarra with the elements, and have been quite wasteful so far with their shooting. What you would say is they've scored 1 goal, possibly could have got another with the player in possession of the football now, and he's given a 1-2 quickly early doors on Maher's goal, and this is dangerous as he bulldozed his way through. Was stopped in the end, but there had been an early infringement, and Austin will have the notebook out here again, I would suggest, probably for the venom of the protest after the phase of attack there.
Yeah, a nice 1-2 there between Robert Finnerty and John Maher, and John Maher is very, very powerful when he runs directly at the defence, and St James's are finding his runs quite difficult to track, and it's leading to scoring opportunities, and this now should be a tap over free for Robert Finnerty's first of the game.
Oh, he's going short towards Maher. They're trying to force the goal. Maher goes back on the answer, gives it back towards Finnerty. Finnerty gives it back towards Maher again. Will he get for a goal? He's on his left hand side. Can he drill the goal? He can. It's blocked. Oh, and you question the wisdom of that. It's not quite Henry and Robert Pierre's back in the day taking the penalty, but it's the same result. What was a tap over free has been punished. His body's pulled down off the ball here as well. It's just gone into life. All this time St James's keep on possession, and if they can get a score from this, they'll take the roof off the place. They're on the attack themselves. Could be an opportunity that's been gobbled up. But talk to me, Eddie, about the wisdom. And even there was 2 or 3 times they could potentially punch it over during that.
Yeah, it looked like a pre-planned move, not something I think that was the wisest option. Obviously in hindsight you'd say that when they didn't score the goal, but when you're doing that you really need to get the goal, because it was, like we touched on, a tap over free for Salthill Knocknacarra, which I'd expect they would have liked to have got and put the press and the kick out. They haven't, but to be fair, they turned it over on the other side and are in the attack again.
As we welcome listeners from Galway Bay FM, a shot coming in from distance, a 2-point effort for Mara Mannion off the upright. Salthill Knocknacarra, they lead St James's with 18 minutes of action here in the first half by 1-1 to 3 points. They have been very wasteful, 6 wides, and what you might have just joined us having a conversation there, they had a tap over free on the 14-yard line on the right hand side, suited perfectly the left foot option of Robert Finnerty. He went short, dinked it across the width of the goal towards John Maher, and they played hot potato back and forth for a couple of occasions, tried to squeeze a goal scoring opportunity that was eventually cleared. Maher himself has an opportunity, has gone wide from a goal scoring opportunity, but Aaron Mannion this time has nailed a fine point for Salthill Knocknacarra. So it's 1-2 for Salthill Knocknacarra, 3 points. In fact, it was Evan Wynne, was it, that got that latest one there, Eddie? But either the way, an important score, particularly after that last phase. Yeah,
good score for Evan Wynne, and it was a good turnover by the Salthill attack. It's important to see that work rate, and again, Evan Wynne, one of their more experienced players, it was an important score, and you can hear from the response from the Salthill crowd, they know that they needed that score.
If you're talking to the manufacturers of that Salthill jersey, can you just tell them to make the numbers a little bit in bigger, that 5 and 6. Even looking here at him here now, only for it's pointed out, it's very familiar, but onwards ago, who cares about us in this end of the area?
Yeah, it can be quite difficult. Maybe our eyesight's getting worse.
No,
I think
that's it as well. That's right.
the numbers are quite difficult to differentiate, but
old age.
I definitely know that was Evan Wynn that stroked that one over.
It was a quality score. So there's a little bit of a pause and play here, as Austin O'Connell has been quite laying down the law sort of approach, you would suggest so far. Anybody that missed the start of the game, Salthill Knocknacarra started with 14. Rob Finnerty didn't have his gum shield in, and he was forced to wait for the first phase of attack, as he's back in possession now. Remarkably, with the breeze, you'd have thought that he would have tallied up a couple of points so far, but they're going for a 2-point effort from distance now. And has this one gone in? It is good. It's their first 2-pointer of the game. It's taken 20 minutes of action. 1-4 now is the Salthill Knocknacarra, and Carl Sweeney up from wing back, and a classic example of watching the forwards, and I go up myself and do it.
Yeah, really good score, Carl Sweeney, and good leadership shown by him. Again, it's a score that they need. And touching on St James's, we know that Jack Nolan and Paul Conroy, they're rangy kickers, they can score 2-pointers. So again, like we touched on, that breeze is probably, for me, it's probably a 6-7, maybe even an 8-point difference, and Salthill Knocknacarra will want to gain that ascendancy in the last third of this first half.
Well, mighty sea of bodies underneath that kick out, but a free has been awarded now to St James's, who probably could do with a score themselves, given that Salthill have got the last few, including that 2-pointer, which sees Fenning Hanley's side now lead by 1-4 to 3 points. Beautiful afternoon here in Salthill. The sun is shining, a little bit of the customary breeze blowing from left to right, as you would anticipate. St James is now against the elements here so far. Probably be happy enough. They're definitely keeping the ball for large periods of possession. No Sam O'Neill as well, but the brother Jack is coming flying forward with possession of the football here. And now Nolan now is a sharpshooter. Tugger the shirt. Referee says happy. Still Nolan sandwich in the end, and the St James's crowd are going absolutely berserk there on that one. Have to confess, I thought that was a free in.
Yeah, it definitely looked it, and even before the challenge there was a jersey pulled by Evan Wynn on Jack Nolan. I'm surprised that Austin didn't give the free, and the St James's supporters were quite vexed as well in the stadium.
Salthill though, they continue to go forward now themselves. Plays the ball down the line and spinning off the shoulder. Can they score another opportunity? Hand pass inside is a stray ball, and Johnny Dewan reads the game so well. He's a player that seems to be missing for half the year, and slots in and looks like he's been playing every day of the year. He's
a real leader in the St James's group. He's been playing over the course of the last 14-15 years at club and county, and you can just see, like you touched on, when he just seamlessly can slot in and leads from the front, and a good turnover there. Just well read by Johnny, and that's typical of his game.
So it's St James's trail by 4. They'll probably be happy enough. They probably like another maybe 1 or 2 points, but I think they'll be happy to go in, given the scoreboard at half time. You can imagine the likes of Paul Connery in particular will be eyeing up orange flags down that goal, the Rock Barton goal in the second half.
Yeah, it'll be an important 10 minutes now in the contest. Salthill Knocknacarra up by 4 points. They'd have hoped to be up further. St James's have had no wide. Salthill have had 7, so that'll just show you the difference between the efficiency on both sides and the strength of the elements.
So St James now on the attack, deep inside the Salthill half. It's position out over on the right hand side. There's calls of a breach, and someone is coming sprinting back here. Austin O'Connell doesn't really know what to do. We all stopped. It's one of those moments where if you roar loud enough on the sideline, you'll get the attention of the officials.
Yeah, it was supposed. It looked to be a breach, but a technical breach. I think Michael Kitt was within 4 yards of the halfway line, so I think Austin was correct just to allow play to progress.
So Neil, backwards he goes towards Culligan. Now he holds on possession. Definitely very noticeable, the St James's tactic of keeping possession, just trying to take the sting out of the game. And as Johnny Dewan now rolls back the years, skips his way through, has the advantage, still bulldozing his way through. And he's still getting fighting for every single last inch. And then they're calling up the goalkeeper, Keane Costello. That'll shave another 40 seconds or so off the clock as well, if you're looking at it from that point of view. But most importantly, he'll be able to put the ball on the surface. We saw Desi Keneally yesterday get a massive score in the first half against the elements, down towards this goal as well. Something similar is required for Costello here.
It is, and bringing up the goalkeeper just shows you the strength of the elements. Donald O'Sullivan, very similar on the other and the Salthill Knocknacarra end, he's well able to stroke balls over from distance off the deck. So an important kick for Cian Costello, and again the clock is running down. We've 24 minutes on the clock, so dead straight in front of the goal, but he'd be hoping to score this.
Yeah, so he's going a short back lift, and he strikes it all beautifully, nails it over the bar, certainly worth the wait. And it's just the Matthew Thompson goal scored in the 3rd minute, which is the difference between the sides, with 4.5 to go. 1-4 for Salthill Knocknacarra, with 4 points for St James's.
Yeah, Salthill Knocknacarra up by that Matthew Thompson goal, but again 5 minutes to go in this first half. We touched on it earlier, St James's will definitely be the happier, so it's an important 5 minutes for both teams.
Sam O'Neill nearly gets Johnny Dewan out of the way, but does get possession, all important possession of the O'Neill side's 5. And now they go for another set move here as well. They look like they're finishing the half very composed. Look like they've a good bit in the reservoir as well. They've always been, over the years, while they have probably frustratingly from their point of view just dropped a little bit short, but at times they've looked very well drilled and very well set up, and they're showing full example of that out here so far.
Yeah, they are very well drilled. I know last year Barry Downey was over them with Darragh Leonard. Owen Concannon has come in this year, and they've shown great progress over the course of the last 2 championship seasons, and they'll be delighted, and like we touched on, very much in this contest early on.
Sam O'Neill has gone for a beauty. Oh, he's nailed it. Have a bit of that. Making an absolute mockery of the elements, but O'Neill is a fine shooter, and he makes it a 2-point ball game.
Yeah, 2-point ball game. He's been excellent, Jack O'Neill. Hasn't had too many possessions, but won a big kick out there from Donald O'Sullivan on the last play, and a really good score off his right foot coming in from the stand. And
it's Salthill Knocknacarra who haven't scored since that 2-pointer from Carl Sweeney. Is there a bit of a coming together of bodies out in the middle? Either way, it's O'Neill, fresh after scoring that score, is hounding possession back for his side, and Johnny Dewan now. And I think St James's smell a little bit of blood here coming up towards half time.
Yeah, they're starting to get a little bit of a foothold in the middle. Salthill Knocknacarra in the first quarter were very dominant in that sector, winning a lot of Cian Costello's kickouts. That's 2 now that Donald O'Sullivan has seen turned over, and both by Jack O'Neill.
So they're keeping possession here now again. Looking for the movement. John Dewan is towards the left. You'd anticipate that he'll get the ball. He does get it. So just outside the 45. Looked up. Thought he was about to let fly with an aerial one inside. McCooey is still kind of hovering in around the edge of the square here. Johnny Dewan gets it again. They're almost counting down the clock here. 27 on the clock. It's St James's 5-point. Salthill Knocknacarra 1-4. Conway now gets it on the left hand side. Bounces it. Has to scoop it up in possession. Is clocked after the ball there as well. Referee eventually, belatedly, puts up the advantage hand as O'Neill goes all the way around, hand pass across, and will they come back?
I would say if Austin calls,
it has to be a card.
It could be a black for Niall Hanaho. I didn't see it myself, but it looks that he had the advantage accrued, and if it was a coming together of bodies, he could be in trouble. Yeah. He's going to talk to Murish on the line, who obviously had the best view of it.
You never want to see players off the playing pitch, but if he's given a free for anything there, the ball was gone. It's a definition of a tackle off the ball. If he is giving anything, now, I'm not quite sure there was a hell of a lot into it, but you're definitely going to milk the situation, and it looks like he's not going to give any punishment at all. So
yeah, no black card. So maybe it was just a more
accidental
a tackle when the ball was there, and it wasn't as late as would have been suggested. So again, I don't think there was any complaints from Paul Conroy, and to be fair, Paul got up quite quickly, which is always good to see, good sportsmanship.
So it's coming forward now, keeping on possession St James's. Clock still shaving away. They're trying to shave away at the scoreboard. It's Salthill Knocknacarra by 2 as things stand. In fact, it's just a 1-point ball game. I beg your pardon. 2 points there. 1-4 to 7 points. Get the max mixed up there for a split second. That 2-pointer from Carl Sweeney has it's actually their last score for Salthill Knocknacarra. But Cian Costello is coming up again, and this one will really test the radar. He's going to be well outside the 45 by the time the ball is placed, I think. Is he being told? I think this is one you let to Paul Conroy, just for the fact that he'll take it off the hands and you can probably steal another yard or 2.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. He seems to be handing it to Cian Costello, and the other element of that is that he is delaying the clock is ticking as well as it goes on. Based on his last kick, I would be thinking, irrespective of the breeze, that this is probably within his range if he connects with it sweetly enough, and if it does go over, take the roof off here in Pearse Stadium for the St James's supporters. It'll put them level.
Yeah, so what are we saying? About a 48-49 on the ground on the right-hand side post. The goalkeeper already got one. Has got a good connection. Oh my days, what a score from the netminder. Keane Costello absolutely nails a 2-pointer.
Oh, what a score, what an inspirational score to come up. And again, he had a quick chat with Paul Conroy, because I'd say it was within Paul's range as well, then to have the confidence to put the ball on the deck. And like we touched on, it really did deserve that roar that it got from the crowd. It puts St James's level, and like we touched on, with the breeze and the elements, Salthill Knocknacarra will be under a lot of pressure. And that man again, it's Jack O'Neill winning with third kick out in a row. He's been excellent in this last quarter.
I'm sure he's been fouled there. Referee says no. I thought that's a little bit misfortunate, but Salthill Knocknacarra over to them now. They surely need to get a score before half time. Now you would say the caveat against the elements, they are a very running team as well. They have a lot of pace, so there's an argument to be said that they'll be okay against the breeze. They certainly would like to have a bit more sharpshooting, particularly in the last couple of moments. And here comes a 2-point effort from distance. Have they got it? Oh, they certainly do. It's a fine response from Salthill Knocknacarra, and it's called Sweeney again. Very similar spot as a St James's player down on the ground here as well, but we just admire the fine score yet again.
Yeah, again,
second of the game.
We touched on, Jonathan, the experience and the leadership, and Cathal Sweeney displaying it in spades. That's his second 2-pointer, 4 points for him, and again, it's 2 points that they really, really needed. We know that the depth that Salthill have in their forwards, they can score so many 2-pointers. They've left a lot behind in the first half, so again, it'll be interesting. I haven't seen any indication of any stoppage time. There should be about 2 or 3 minutes, I'd expect, but an important kick out again for Keane Costello.
Bit of homework
for
to be
St
done
James's.
first, though, isn't there? There
seems to be into the umpires for a chat to see there was a coming together.
It was Paul
Conroy's down.
Yeah. So that kind of happened as the shot was going over. That classic, everyone's coming back to reset. He looks quite vexed there, looking back. There's a couple of pockets of indiscretion afterwards. Oster Collins comes sprinting out after having a word with his umpire.
He definitely appears to have got an instruction. He's coming out with intent to speak to someone from Salthill Knocknacarra, and there could be someone in a little bit of bother. I think it's St James's and Salthill Knocknacarra. It's two players actually. No, it's the St James's man he's talking to.
Yeah, that's
even though Paul Conroy's on the deck.
Colin Regan has been called over the fullback.
I'm not so sure what happened.
So he's the notebook out. Looks like he's having one conversation. So yellow card to the St James's fullback, but let's put it this way. It wasn't his fault. Paul Conroy ended up on the floor.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm not so sure what happened. He got the instruction from the umpires, who obviously saw what happened. Paul was on the deck. He's annoyed with Austin. He's remonstrating with the ref, but Cathal O'Regan ultimately has got the yellow card, and that's 2 yellow cards for St James's in the first half. Cathal O'Regan and Daniel McNulty earlier in the first half.
So just to kind of bring us back up to speed, because it's been an old St James's there, but it is Salthill Knocknacarra now leading by 2 points, 1-6 to 7 points. We're 2.5 minutes into injury time now. Austin Collins is going to bring this one a mile up the pitch. There's 2 Salthill bodies down on the ground. John Maher is certainly one of those. It's a free, and it looks like a 2-point free as well.
Yeah,
so
it looked like coming together. I think John Maher caught the kick out, turned it over, and I'd expect they were going to look for Donald O'Sullivan to come up, but Robert Finnerty appears to fancy this, and well within his range, dead straight in front of the goal at the advanced mark, at the top of the advanced mark, at advanced arc.
Yeah, and it's a big moment, because prior to the last 2-pointer, he's second of the day from Cathal Sweeney. St James's were right in it. They had tidy things up there, got things level, but Sweeney's 2-pointer has put them 2 points up. Finnerty's going for his 2-pointer, and he's nailed it. And there are huge moments at the end of the first half here from Salthill Knocknacarra. 2
big scores, and the county players stepping up for them. Cathal Sweeney with 2 2-pointers, and now Robert Finnerty with his first score of the game. A big 2-point free, and it was needed. That put Salthill Knocknacarra 4 points up, and they finished the half very, very strong.
Probably harsh on St James's, who had rallied quite well in that second quarter, but Austin Connell looks like that's enough. He's the whistle to his mouth. I know he's going to let one last play develop. It's almighty Scrumman O'Neill, and then perfect summary of the game comes down with the football and sends his side on the attack for one last time. Matters now, cuts in field, Sprays it over on the right hand side. It's hit late, so they have the advantage. Conrad now going with a beautiful, delicious pass, just intercepted. Back for Daniel Florida, but back for the early infringement, and I'd imagine this will be the last moment in the game. It'll be Keane Costello, who has already converted 3 points, 1 point free and then a 2 point free a couple of moments ago. It's probably the same distance as the last one he converted, just this one a little more left of centre. More housekeeping to be done from Austin O'Connell. Yellow card has been flashed there in the process of that one. The way things are going, I think it was Michael Kitt that was on the latest end of that one. He's flashing around that hard. Someone's going to get a second yellow yet.
Yeah, Michael Kitt booked there for coming together with Dale Masterson, and that's resulted in the advantage not accrue and a free for St James's. Again, well within Keane Costello's range, we saw from the last kick that he scored.
So similar style from Costello. Is it going to be a similar result? It's going to hang towards the left hand side despite the best efforts there, and that is the end of the first half here in Pearse Stadium. It's advantage Salthill Knocknacarra 1-8 to 7 points. St James's are marching in. If we'd gone to them maybe about 5 minutes ago, they would have been cock-a-hoop, delighted with life. But massive couple of scores and a massive couple of 2-pointers from Salthill Knocknacarra have just changed the perspective here.
Yeah, 2 massive scores like we touched on from Cathal Sweeney, and then Robert Finnerty. Salthill Knocknacarra finished the half quite well after Keane Costello nailing the 2 point free. It was level, and we were nearly at 30 minutes at that point. So in injury time, two 2-pointers put Salthill Knocknacarra 4 points up. Again, the breeze is going to be a telling factor, but like you touched on, Jonathan, Salthill Knocknacarra are a running team. We saw John Maher, Daniel O'Flaherty and others penetrating through the St James's defence, but St James have been really, really good in the first half. Very disciplined in their defence, very patient in their attack. The last kick of the game was their first wide from I think from 6 attacks, from 6 strikes at the goal. So again, that'll show you the discipline in their attack and the patience. Salthill Knocknacarra, on the other hand, I think they have 7 wides, so they'll be disappointed with that. But again, it's really all to play for in the second half. Really entertaining first half here in Pearse Stadium, and both sets of teams will fancy their chances in the second half, so it'll be interesting to see what Owen Concannon and Finian Hanley have to say to their two teams, because like we touched on, it's very much a live game here at half time. Yeah, you certainly wouldn't put the mortgage on either team here at half time. It's fairly evenly poised. Salthill Knocknacarra, though, with a couple of late 2-pointers, have just got their noses back in front, where at half time, where we're going to leave you with some half time highlights, it is the half time score: Salthill Knocknacarra 1-8, St James's 7 points. Talk to you very shortly for the second half. You just have to almost drop your jaw at times. Outside of the right, sprays the point attack. James has goal to an opportunity straight away. They're going to punch it up and punch it over the bar. St James has won up a nice fisted point, but like you touched on, half a goal chance, but he went for the point.
So here comes huge moments at the end. You're very welcome back to Pearse Stadium. Both sides eventually out as we await the start of the second half of the Secours Galway Senior Football Championship quarter-final, an all-city affair here in Pearse Stadium. It's Salthill Knocknacarra, highly fancy Salthill Knocknacarra side, who have their noses in front over their city rivals St James's by 1-8 to 7 points. St James's had a really good second quarter though, however, and it took a couple of late two-point efforts from Salthill Knocknacarra to edge them back in front here as we await Austin O'Connell to start things going. And you have a feeling, Eddie, that if St James's can continue that period of attack for the first 5 or 10 minutes ago, it could make things very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be a big 10 minutes, and we touched on the last 10 minutes of the first half too. But this especially, given the significance of, like we said, the elements and the potential 2-pointers on St James's side, they'll want to start this half with intent.
Yeah, and they've plenty of 2-pointers up their sleeve as well, no more so than Paul Conroy. As we watch Desi Hines, pops the ball off the shoulder now and they move it. We're looking for options left, right and centre. It's back now with Culligan. And it goes infield towards O'Toole. O'Toole now sprays it over to our central zone where Johnny Dewan looks up. It's a peach of all inside to the full forward position. There's runners off the shoulder. That's Brian Kane. His shot that was blocked. Big roar. Very close to being out for 45 either way. St James's look like they've retrieved possession. Now it's a scramble. Who's going to get the ball? Bodies everywhere. It's very close to there was a sideline. Is that a push in the back? Referee says a free out. Which of all the decisions he could possibly have made, and now it's just gone into a bit of old-fashioned wrestling here as well. And Austin O'Connell, who has been a quite sticker, it looks like a boxing ref at the moment there in the middle of the pile trying to pull bodies out of the way. It just got unnecessary and messy there for no reason. Like, was that Paul Connery initially? That was the player that was bending over the ball that ended up punished, I think, for touching the ball on the floor. Now the referee is blowing his whistle. Paul Connery is watching on. I have no idea what's happening, Eddie.
Yeah, Austin appears to be talking to Paul Conroy and one of the Salthill Knocknacarra defenders, so I'd expect probably 2 yellow cards is what I'd expect.
It's also unnecessary though, isn't it? Like it's a 50-50 coming together. I think if it was dealt with more smoothly, none of this messing would have started. Paul Conroy definitely is in a bit of bother here, and it's one of the, it might be Derek Neely as well there from Salthill Knocknacarra. So yellow cards to one side there, and eventually I hope we can get back to playing a bit of football there. Yeah, it is Keneally and Connery booked in that period, and I think after all that he's going to hop the ball, which possibly could have been done in the first place and saved all the missing.
Yeah, I think so. 2 yellow cards there again, so a hop ball after Salthill Knocknacarra initially having the free, and now they've won a free. So well, again, like you touched on, a lot of unnecessary.
This is a referee now that had his mind made up. The ball wasn't up in the air and he had the free given out. Now he's marching forward. It's all very unnecessary here. It's been a brilliant game of football. Just let the footballers have the centre of the attention, would be the strong words of wisdom from everyone watching on here. Hopefully the football will develop again, but that was just all so unnecessary. Here comes Donnelly O'Flaherty, trying to drive forward, finds Maher, and then he sprays it over towards the right hand side as they try and run down that against the elements, of course, in the second half, down towards their own Orisbourne and a Troy end. So it's certainly a goal mount that they're used to. There's a big switch across here, and Aaron Mannion now gets it and runs on the inside left position, finds a couple of bodies, and they move it off the shoulder, moving quickly. Here it's called Sweeney, still going through. Sweeney, Tonwood getting a shot. Is he fouled? Referee says penalty. Oh, a big moment here, 3.5 minutes into the second half. And sometimes hard running is so impossible to stop. Yeah,
Cathal Sweeney again pivotal for Salthill Knocknacarra, coming from that left half back position right through the heart of the St James's defence. He was pulled back, and Austin O'Connell rightly awards the penalty to Salthill Knocknacarra.
Not quite sure the Salthill side realise that his penalty was placed on the wrong spot. It was the old penalty spot that had been placed on there, but eventually Robert Fennerty gets it. as Michael Kidd had the ball initially, but it is left, I'd say, the new penalty spot, but it's been in a good while now. So it will be Cian Costello, who made hay scoring points in the first half, as it comes forward here. And he has to take on Robert Finnerty, who's usually cool as a breeze in these sort of circumstances. So 4.5 minutes into the second half, Finnerty, the All-Star nominee, against Costello, left-footed. It's just squeezed through, despite the best efforts of Cian Costello. But the onion bag rattles for the second time for the Salthill Knocknacarra perspective. And that already, even at this early stage of the second half, feels like a huge pivotal moment.
Big goal for Salthill Knocknacarra. Robert Finnerty nicely tucked away penalty. I think Cian Costello will have felt he could have done maybe better. It just slipped under his body, but like we touched on, a big goal for Salthill Knocknacarra, and that puts them now 7 points up after 5 minutes of the second half. Yeah, so confirmation there would change on St James's side. Fintan Cooney, number 14, is into the action here. Their stand-up player for the whole game, Jack O'Neill, tried to go for one from downtown on the distance. That's a very difficult skill. Miscues it out for wide number 2, I believe. Eddie, you've been keeping a close track of them there as well. But yeah, that's 2 wides for St James's, their first of the second half. And again, sometimes playing with the big breeze with the 2-point option, you can tend to force the option. And in that case, Jack O'Neill definitely forced it and probably wasn't within his range, and it tailed out to the right and wide.
So it's an advantage for Salthill Knocknacarra, 2-8 to 7 points of St James's. Now the whistle is going again, and he's marching forward again. I'm not going to say anything, Eddie.
Yeah, he seems to have brought it forward, so he didn't. The ball wasn't handed back as the ball wasn't handed back. As per the rules, he brought it forward, and now it's a free dead straight in front of the goal on the advanced arc, and I'd expect Paul Conroy will stroke this over for 2. Yeah, so it could be a big swing back. You could say the penalty could be 3/4 of the way cancelled out here if Conroy can convert here. It's dead centre, all about getting the distance, and he has that in abundance. It is a 2-pointer, so 9 points now for St James's, 2-8 for Salthill Knocknacarra. 6.5 minutes gone in the second half. Yeah, big score for St James's. They needed to respond to the penalty. It was a bit of a sucker blow so early in the second half, but no better man than Paul Conroy, and made that strike look so easy from all of nearly, I would say, 40 yards. Yes, scrap in the middle here. Looks like St James's have turned it over. That's Johnny Dewan. He is just rolling back the years at times there. You know, if you're Porrick Joyce watching on, or if you hadn't watched Galway football, you'd say he could be one for inter-county set-up as they're coming together here. Cleverly just scooped out though, and they keep possession. It's Dan McNulty has the advantage. Conroy now going outside the 21, back on the left, punches it over on the left-hand side. They want to see, I think, a bit more than one. I think he knows they have the advantage. Clever move there. Yeah, it was. Paul knew the advantage was accruing, and usually when it is, it was coming back, so they were going more aggressive in their attack than they would have needed. So it's coming back now, and I'd expect it's going to go for 2 now as well, which is, it's an interesting dynamic. Had you gone as per the plot book and punched, or say got a 1-point ball game out of that, it's, you know, they're at the weaker point of that situation. Clever move to try and force a goal, or at least go for broke and definitely come back for the 2-point effort now. They had the option to come back, which they have, and now it's a little bit further to the right and a little further out, so they've opted for Cian Costello, who's the keeper, to have a go at this, and he as we know, he'd scored a few in the first half. Oh, it looks good. Oh, have a bit of that. The most beautiful, it's like a golf club, a 3-wood you'd hear in New York in the Ryder Cup, just a little bunk as the ball left his boot. Short snap, back left, over the bar, it flies. 11 points now for St James's. The penalty has been wiped aside. It's back just to a 3-point Salthill Knocknacarra advantage. Yeah, perfect response for St James's, and Cian Costello again. That's his 5th point from placed balls today, and we just touched on in the first half, we said the 2-pointers are going to be pivotal here in the second half, and we've seen it 2 already for St James's. A perfect response to the earlier penalty for Salthill Knocknacarra. So now what Salthill Knocknacarra got up their sleeve, they reacted well just before half time with a couple of 2-pointers of their own, but haven't really hit the heights that you would anticipate. This body's pulled down left, right and centre. Oh, now he pulls it when Salthill Knocknacarra coming through on goal. Michael Kidd
was looking down the eyes of Keane Costello. There's more pushing off the ball here as well. It's all so unnecessary.
Yeah, look, there appears to be a breach on the St James's side. I think they didn't keep 3 up, and Austin has been informed by the linesman, Paddy Houlihan, who's a clubman of my own. He's the linesman. He seems to have informed them, and they're going to give the free now to Salthill Knocknacarra.
Tell me that goal scoring opportunity isn't a better outcome than waiting and trying to take a shot against the elements. They should convert it eventually, but what is the decision going to be? So Donald Sullivan go for a skip forward. It will be just the top over free.
Yeah, so I think it was the breach, but given the elements, I think Robert Finnerty is going to go with the free and not going to bring it out for the 2-point option. Yeah, and if he had, I'd expect O'Sullivan would have come up to take it.
So Finnerty now, dead centre in front of the post, strokes the ball over the bar. 2-9 now for Salthill Knocknacarra. 11 points for St James's. 10 minutes gone in the second half. A 4-point advantage, but still, this game feels far from over.
Again, a good response from Salthill Knocknacarra. It's going to be tit for tat here in the second half. We touched on how the first 10 minutes is going to be really important, and we've seen that play out, and Salthill Knocknacarra are still 4 points to the good.
Culligan now goes forward, scoops the ball infield, which is blocked a couple of times, comes back now towards Cooney, introduced at half time and very much in the melt zone right there. I think Austin has seen a little bit of a punch that one, and that's a right decision. So it's a shot all the way over on the left hand side. Do you get the goalkeeper up? Paul Conroy, I think, might fancy this one himself. He's got one from a central position, so one to test the in-swing, test a bit of curl here.
Yeah, a more difficult strike than his first 2-pointer, but again, well within his range. Fintan Cooney introduced, like we touched on at half time. He's a very direct ball runner and very, very effective, and you saw there, drew the foul, which now Paul Conroy will look to put over for a 2.
So Evan Nolan has been introduced for Salthill Knocknacarra. So their first change of the game. A change in the forwards. And we'll see player that has made way. It is Rob Walzer. And that free kick taken quite quickly in the end from Paul Conroy, but out for wide number 3 for his side. Be disappointed with that one. That would have cut the lead down 50%. It's still a 4-point advantage.
Yeah, a trickier angle, but Paul will be disappointed because coming in on the left, we know his range and his ability to stroke over scores. So it did tail off to the right and just didn't come around like he wanted.
So Sullivan now boots it high into the Salthill sky. Up go the bodies, left, right and centre. It's a stretch. Oh, wonderful catch out in the middle of the pitch there from Salthill Knocknacarra. Maher, who else says you? O'Flaherty now has a little bit of open country down the line. Finds Thompson, who started the attack in the first half. Matthew Thompson, oh, just look at that. Matthew Thompson. To say he caressed the ball would be an understatement. Just stroked it over the bar on the run. Just a simply ridiculous score.
Yeah, just made it look easy. But again, the two county players, John Maher winning the mark in the middle of the pitch. And again, hand through this kick out. Salthill Knocknacarra starting to again get the ascendancy in the middle with Michael Kitt and John Maher out there. But Matthew Thompson, what a score, with the perfect angle here to see it from the stand, and stroked it over with his left, and that's 1-1 for Matthew Thompson in today's game.
Yeah, and it has to be James have to be a little bit careful here as they've been punished for too many steps here as well. But all of a sudden they trail by 5. Could have been a lot closer on a couple of occasions. They were pretty much very efficient in the first half where they're shooting. But Salthill Knocknacarra have started to put the foot down a little bit. O'Flaherty now, will he try and repeat the act? He's going to the second occasion. O'Flaherty, this one's going to be closed off the upright. Back out it comes again. And it should be a free out in the end there for St James's. So still a 5-point advantage for Salthill Knocknacarra. Over to you now, St James's. Need to find a second wind. They haven't really got, you say, going from a 2-pointer or a shooting perspective from play. You know, they've got a couple of place balls, but haven't created a lot of point scoring opportunities.
No, they haven't. Again, Paul Conroy drawing the free, and it's while it's 50 yards out, it's well within a 2-point range, and I'd expect
he is going to leave it for Costello as well. What's he got?
Interesting, yeah, whether he looks to take it himself or not. But then, like I touched on, whether it's Paul or Keane, both of them have the ability to score.
So yellow card flash there to John Maher. They're really starting to tally up there. But this feels like an important... And now he's placing it back, and... I thought Paul Conroy was a lot closer to the 45. And he's going to leave it here as well.
Yeah, he brought it back 5 yards and probably
but
now...
Paul will take it from the exact same spot it was. Going to make a mockery of the situation. Conroy gives it the welly. Oh, Paul Conroy! Oh, my days! You can put it back another 10 yards and he's still going to nail it.
Again, that's absolutely inspirational stuff from Paul Conroy. Austin O'Connell instructed it to go back 5 yards. He did take it back 5 yards. He took the ball from Keane Costello and stroked it over. And again, a massive, massive response to a really, really inspirational score from Paul Conroy.
It reminded me of Lowry and McIlroy yesterday evening, giving it welly back to anyone that was in a viewpoint of them, and then nailing the monster punches. Looking like a bit of red haze and a bit of venom through the football.
Yeah, what a strike, what a score. And like we touched on, really what St. James has needed. They were finding it hard to bridge that 4-point gap. They're now within 3, and that's the closest they've been in this second half. So they'll need to. It's a really important kick out now. Donald O'Sullivan. St. James's have a full press on it again, so they'll be looking to win this, turn it over and go back into the attack again.
Sullivan over towards the side. O'Neill is underneath it. O'Neill gets half a pawn and gets it, 2 hands on it. And St. James's, who currently trail by 3 halfway through the second half with the elements, yet to really get going, lose possession of the football, and Salthill and Knocknacarra are in like a breeze. There was Matthew Thompson, slid in, got possession back for his side, and now come here the blue shirts of Salthill and Knocknacarra coming forward. This would change the momentum, just like it seemed like St. James's were about to put the foot down over towards his left hand side, where Sweeney already made a big bit of damage in the first half. He's starting to hide on, backdoor cutters on, Sweeney back on his right. Sweeney, as he squeezes it over, he's punished it with absolute, the most masterclass in the world, nails it over the bar. And these scores are coming at such big moments in the game. 2-11 plays 13 points now.
Yeah, we look in the second half. Matthew Thompson with the last one from play, and Cathal Sweeney stepping up again. That's 5 scores, 5 points for Cathal Sweeney, and he was also fouled for the penalty. So it just shows the impact that he has had. And again, Salthill and Knocknacarra appear to be picking off and going back in again, like we touched on, to that 4-point lead that they've held on to for most of the second half.
So Paddy Cater has been introduced by Finian Hanley there as the fresh legs are coming on left, right and centre. It's that type of game. Salthill though have a 4-point advantage. A shoulder comes in over there by Cooney, deemed legal. Can he get the important possession of the football? He can't, but then there's a scrap, and Salthill though are going to come out with the ball, and when they start motoring, it's like the blue arrows coming forward here at times. Quick hands. Saw Mark Cullen being highly affected here yesterday evening. Salthill and Knocknacarra, the longer this game goes in, the more dirty diesel seems to be burnt out of the tank.
Yeah, and like we touched on, the squads as well play a big role here. And you see Paddy Kitt, who had a really good group phase, he's come in. Evan Nolan, again, we know how effective Evan is, and in the heated championship, it's important to have that depth.
Thompson. It's a scooped up. Where's the ball going? And Costello just got enough on the football with nearly a delicious pass through from Thompson.
Yeah, it was again, Matthew Thompson can see passes that a lot of people can't, and he just went for a pinpoint, and it was just marginally miscued. Probably forced it a little, but St. James have won the turnover and now have a free out.
So extra time in Athenry, and you're going to want to keep an eye on that game between Tuam Stars and Killallen. They'll be hoping that the sun keeps shining for a bit longer there. Here, you certainly wouldn't rule it out, but as things stand, it is a 4-point advantage for Salthill and Knocknacarra with 80 minutes now gone in the clock in the second half. 2-11 plays 13 points. St. James's though have shown plenty of mettle, and that's a throw ball. And the Salthill backroom staff probably as pleased with that as any of the fine scores.
Yeah, and we actually didn't touch on Tomo Culhan has been introduced, and Tomo has been carrying a knock for the last number of weeks. But again, you saw the reaction of Finian Hanley. It was a better reaction than any score to see Tomo come out, have that discipline to turn over a ball like that, and it's those small unseen interventions that sometimes can be the difference.
So Salthill and Knocknacarra now really keeping the width. They attacked the left hand side a couple of moments ago, now all the way down, almost chalking the boots over on the far sideline. It does allow a bit of room to generate, and they're moving the ball freely. There's a pass inside. which hasn't been given. O'Flaherty now over the top, finds Finnerty. Finnerty, quick hands, it goes towards Sweeney. Sweeney's thinking about a goal, flashes it up, flashes it over the bar. They're really starting to motor now.
Yeah, and again we touch on the county players. That's Daniel O'Flaherty to Robert Finnerty to Cathal Sweeney, who puts over his 6th point of the game. And again, it's that depth that seems to be edging Salthill closer to the winning line.
So wait for the restart as it continues on. The ball has been driven over towards the right hand side. And it's caught there by Kit in the middle of the pitch. And this midfield battle is definitely in the Salthill perspective. And look at the open space here as they drive in. This could be a goal scoring opportunity. Will they go across the left hand side? They do cross. Can they put it in the net? What a save by Costello! It's up for a point, but a monster save.
Yeah, that's an inspirational save from Keane Costello. He's been excellent in terms of his accuracy from placed balls. He's scored, like we touched on, 5, I think, this afternoon. But what a save. It was a point blank. He stretched down on the attacker's boot and pushed it over for what was a score. But again, going back to the midfield dominance, Salthill with Michael Kitt and John Maher have got their hands on a lot of ball, and it's been a really big platform for them in this second half, and large parts of the first half too.
St James though have found half a yard. This could be goal score opportunity. What a challenge though at the back. Owen Dealey comes across there. Because Evan Nolan, who had that last a point ultimately in the end, the argument made 1 point and all that, but a turnover comes here, a late hit. Referee gives it.
But again, touching on the small unseen things, Owen Dealey there, what a tackle, a perfect near hand tackle, stripped Jack O'Neill of the ball when it looked like a real good goal scoring opportunity. So
21 minutes now gone in the second half. St James's have a huge 2-point free, but they trail by 2 goals as things stand. 2-13 for Salthill Knocknacarra, 13 points for St James's. Paul Conray has got a monster one from a similar distance a couple of moments ago, is going for take 2. This one has got the accuracy, it's tailed out towards the right hand side and wide. It gives it a little bit of a cursed look, because those scores, as difficult and are really difficult as they are, they need to start going over from the James.
Yeah, 6 points in it, and that would have brought it back to that margin that we've touched on regularly as the 4. They needed it, and you could see from Paul's reaction, he knows that they needed it too. And with 8 minutes on the clock, it looks to be going away from St James's, but again, like we touched on, with the elements and the breeze, anything can happen, but definitely Salthill would appear to be favourites from here.
So it's O'Sullivan, drives it high left, up go the bodies in. Conray gets a fist on it, but it's picked up at the back there. Romanian was standing waiting for the ball to come down, gives it off to a teammate now in Salthill Knocknacarra. We'll be hoping that they can hold possession for the last 8 minutes plus for as long as possible. They have a 6-point advantage as things stand. Goals in the first half from Matthew Thompson, that was their first score of the game, and then Robert Finnerty from the penalty spot at the start of the second half. Despite the best efforts of King Costello, who has a bit of everything today in the goal, some big saves, some brilliant sharp shooting himself, but now he's watching Daniel Flaherty find half a pocket space. Too many steps has been deemed as the Gomery player has been punished. James aren't wasting any time, boot the ball over towards the right hand side. It's just 2v2 almost inside, but McCooey gets half a little bit yard here. Still on him he goes. O'Dealy's on his shoulder. McCooey has to come back and recycle the ball towards Conray. He'll stop to look, but plays the ball in field. Nice little ball inside. McNulty, short little hand pass. It comes across. Can they get the shot? Good save. Where's the ball going to come out? It's ricocheted. Players are driving left, right, and centre. Pull. But in the end, Donald O'Sullivan gives it the big fist pumps because he's kept it out of the house.
Yeah, massive save, Donald O'Sullivan. And we touch on the 6 points in it. That would have halved the deficit. And now Salthill on the ascendancy into the RS10, but a really good attack by St James's. Daniel McNulty right down the middle to I'm not sure who got the shot off at the end. It could have been Jack Nolan, but really good save, Donald. And to punish even further, they've come right up the pitch and got a score to put 7 in it.
It's a beautiful strike. It's Matthew Thompson again. It's 2-14 now for Salthill Knocknacarra. 13 points for St James's. That feels like a big moment. A goal scoring opportunity in one end, blocked, clearance, everything out, straight down the pitch and get a beautiful score.
Yeah, big swing, 4 point swing. And to punish St James's after missing the goal scoring chance. It shows the experience of Salthill, Knocknacarra, and has put them 7 points up, and you'd expect that from here, like we touched on, they most likely will kick on.
Bit of a stop and play now allows us a couple of sets of instructions. More changes about to take place. Dave O'Connell will be introduced for St James's in the next couple of moments. That's a good boot of a ball out from Costello, but it breaks for Salthill Knocknacarra, and they're really starting to put the foot down. O'Flaherty has been coming like a train all day, pops it off the shoulder. Tomo's inside, wants the ball, he gets it, he likes to go for goal. He's going to take a roofer into the bottom corner of the left. Tomo Khan is certainly back. Drives in, Salthill Knocknacarra's third goal of the game. 3-14, plays 13 points with 25 minutes gone on the clock, and I think that's the knock-up blow.
Yeah, I think it is. Look, again, Michael Kitt got his hands on the ball in the middle, onto his brother Paddy, who in turn gives the ball to Evan Nolan, and then Tom O'Culhan just showed that ruthless streak. He knew when he got in that opportunity there's one thing on his mind, and that was the back of the net, and no better man to dispatch it like he did. But like we touched on, it's that depth in their bench. You see, there are 4 players in that attack was Paddy Kitt, Evan Nolan, and ultimately Tom O'Culhan, who were 3 subs that Finian Hanley has introduced in the second half, and it makes a big difference coming down the stretch of big games. 10
points deficit seems quite harsh in St James's.
Definitely, I think it is. It is
gobbled
harsh.
Up again. They're smelling blood. Ball inside. It's going to be walked into there, and it's another Salthill Knocknacarra goal. 2 in a row. They're turning on the style. And just came from a disaster at the back, really. The kick out got gobbled up and punished absolutely ruthlessly. And Salthill Knocknacarra are going to be in that draw a little bit later on. Just absolutely ruthless, and that's cruel now.
Yeah, I think Evan Nolan, who dispatched another substitute, but you touched on the score being harsh on St James. I think most certainly after 25 minutes playing into a gale force, they were level, and just some fine margins. You saw Donal O'Sullivan's save there that would have put 3 in it, and instead Salthill have gone up the pitch in the next 3 attacks and scored 2-1 to ultimately put the game to bed.
So the scoreboard's taken one hell of a jump in the last couple of moments. 4-14 now for Salthill Knocknacarra, 13 points for St James's, and they're not done just yet. Just look at Mar leading a wave of 3 or 4 shots forward as Sweeney carries the ball. Thompson will get it back on the shoulder, puts it across towards the right hand side. They could get another goal here. Comes back, saved by Costello. Mar was free inside, picked up and chopped over the bar by Sweeney in the end. But they're a side that feels like, with 4-15 to 13 points of St James's on the scoreboard, who feel full force blown and wanting to set down a marker out here.
Yeah, Johnny, you touched on the fact that the Salthill, when they attack, they like to attack in waves and move it short. That's Cathal Sweeney's 7th point today, and we touched on that he was involved in the early penalty in the second half too. He's been outstanding, but again, it's that deep runs into the defence that are so hard to defend.
And you look at it, the last score for St James's came in the 15th minute of the second half. That monster 2-pointer from Paul Conroy that we could watch all day long. Since then, it's just been a rally. 2-5 without reply. It's just phenomenal stuff. And O'Flaherty is going all day, gives a 1-2. Will he try and get in on the act? Punches the ball in field, and it's just batted into the net. And they're just like a hot knife through potato right now. Rob Finnerty with the latest Salthill Knocknacarra goal. And if there was a towel here, we'd be throwing it in right now.
Yeah, again, a really impressive sequence of attack and play. And Daniel O'Flaherty 1-2 with Robert Finnerty, and just showed real ruthlessness to not take their point, just to go for the goal. And this is a real statement from Salthill Knocknacarra. We've touched on the 6 county players, and they've all been really prolific in today's game, and the 5-15 is in large parts down to their impact on proceedings.
Yeah, 5-15 to 13 points. It was 2-10 to 13 points 15 minutes into the second half. We're 28 minutes now gone in the second half, and since then 17 points is the advantage for Finian Hanley's side. Just a jaw-dropping moment of football, but certainly will just create a couple of question marks around whoever the 4 remaining teams will be in the draw that will take place a little bit later on for the Bon Secours Galway Senior Football Championship semi-finals. We already know that Mock Cullen are through. We know that Corofin are through. Chuma Kalalan is going towards extra time as well, so we'll get a winner in Athenry. But it's going to be a tasty set of semi-final pairings.
It certainly will. It'll be interesting to see how the game in Athenry finishes.
Paul Conroy's got another 2-pointer there, though. He's going to fight it to the death. Just caressed that one over the bar from outside the left-hand side of the two-point arc. So 15 points now for St James's, with 5-15 for Salthill Knocknacarra.
Yeah, we touch on statements as well, and we see Corofin, they put out a big statement as well today. Waukegan yesterday against neighbours Uachtarard, a very impressive performance too, and a lot of their main players to the fore. It'll be very interesting to see what happens in Athenry. But in extra time, because again Tuam would have been the favourites, but Clannon have had an excellent championship and been very impressed with them. Dara Walsh and Ryan Roach in the middle of the pitch have been excellent, as have the likes of Johnny Heaney, but Tuam Stars have been really impressive all season, winning the Division 1 league. And after the group phase I felt that they were very impressive and certainly a big contender. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out here today. We touch on the county players, and I think from my records it's 4-12 that the county players have accounted for in the Salthill's 5-15, and that'll just show you the impact that those 6 players have on this Salthill team.
Yeah, free stroked over the bar there from Paul Conroy. A 1-point effort, but Hardy gets a ripple of applause as this game is it's a broken docket right now. It is Salthill Knocknacarra who are, as we touched on, putting their stamper on the situation. 5-15 to 16 points is their advantage. We've played 30 seconds of, I believe, 3 minutes of additional time. But if Austin O'Connell has any mercy, will just blow up things straight away. It's booted up by Sullivan up to the centre zone. O'Neill gets a punch on it. You'll have to say standout players over the course today will be coming to man of the match a little bit later on after the full-time whistle in a couple of moments' time. But definitely O'Neill, and Jack that is, from the St James's half, deserves a good bit of credit because he was majestic out there for periods.
He certainly was, yeah. Jack O'Neill, he was instrumental in that purple patch before half-time, getting his hands on lots of ball.
What a pass that is to Johnny Duane inside. It goes towards Culligan. They need a goal. He's been half pulled down. There's an option at the back post, but he's going to go for goal himself off the post, and maybe that sums up the day for St James's.
I think it does, yeah. That deserved a goal. It was a really good move. Jack O'Neill, lovely pass into Johnny Duane and Jonah Culligan, bearing down on goal, and it comes back off the upright, like you touched on. They just haven't had the breaks when they needed them, and that's another example of it.
So I think it will be a free. Johnny Duane has possession of the ball. He's on the 21. You probably think about just going for Michael Meehan style here for the sake of it, but they trail by 14. Probably about a minute left of addition time. So not even the biggest miracle known to mankind will be able to save their bacon in such a situation. So it will be Mockholland, Corofin, Salthill Knocknacarra, and we wait for an update from Athenry to see how things are going. So that one will be interesting to see. And the last score I see there is Tuam Stars leading Kalalan by 17 points to 18. Not sure what time this Johnny Duane is going for Michael Meehan style. Roofs it over the top of the bar. So 17 points now for St James's. But 5-15 for Finney Hanley's Salthill Knocknacarra. And with 20 seconds to go, I think by the time that Donald O'Sullivan puts his left foot through this one, that should be the last of the action here in Salthill, and we get ready for that draw to come a little bit later on. No matter what happens out of those 4, there's going to be belting semi-finals. We've probably got the top 3 in many people's, and then if Tuam are able to seed things out, the league champions, so probably the seedings have come good. There's a bit of coming on, but referee, I was about to say he's going to allow one more attack, but there he goes. It's victory in the end for Salthill Knocknacarra, and it's a statement victory in the end. Just a jaw-dropping third quarter performance seems to win this a derby game in absolutely blistering style. 5-15 to 17 points. A game that was an even enough affair for large periods. They've finished with an utmost sugar rush.
Yeah, like you touched on, the third quarter was where Salthill Knocknacarra pushed on a big save at one point from Donald O'Sullivan was pivotal. There was 6 points in it, and they just blitzed St James's from there and just didn't let up. We touched on the depth that's in the squad. We touched on the county players as well. 4-12 coming from their county players as well, which is a really impressive return. But to be fair, Salthill and Knocknacarra full value for the win. 13-point victory, probably not. I think St James's were a little bit unlucky in that regard in terms of how the scoreline finished up in the end. But again, Salthill and Knocknacarra, a big statement, and there be a match for any of the remaining teams in the semi-finals.
Just in terms of your man of the match then as well, it's one of these days where there's quite a lot of options, as you would guess, when a side that scores 5-15.
Yeah, there's a lot of options on the St James's side, to be fair. Keane Costello in goal was excellent. He, like we touched on, scored 5 points. Paul Conroy in the middle of the pitch accounted for 7 points in the second half. Johnny Dewan was excellent, especially in the first half. He was really led from the front, playmaking at the back, and I felt Jack O'Neill was excellent in large parts and will, I think, have much more of an impact in the maroon jersey of Galway next year, and looking forward to seeing that. Sam was a big loss for them. He's an inspirational leader. He's a county player, and they missed his presence in that game there today. For Salthill and Knocknacarra, we touched on the county players. Matthew Thompson with the goal early on. He accounted for 1-2. Robert Finnerty, 2 goals in the second half, 2-3 he finished with. Tom O'Culhan came on with a goal, and also in the middle of the pitch, John Maher and Michael Kitt were very effective and quite dominant. But for me, the man of the match this afternoon goes to Cathal Sweeney. Cathal Sweeney, from where number 10, playing left half back, scored 7 points and was involved in the penalty as well, which was pivotal in the early stages of this, in the second half. So for me, Cathal Sweeney, worthy man of the match recipient. And again, like I touched on, Finian Hanley will be really happy with this afternoon's performance.
Yeah, hard to argue with that. You think about the couple of 2-pointers he got just before half time as well, involved in the penalty. Did a lot of the good stuff while the game was in the melting pot. So that wraps things up here from Pearse Stadium. Victory for Salthill Knocknacarra, 5-15 to 70 points. Stay with us though, we'll try and get some reaction from the victorious Salthill Knocknacarra camp. You just have to almost drop your jaw at times. Outside of the right, sprays the point attack. James has a goal through an opportunity straight away. They're going to punch it up and punch it over the bar.
St James has won up a nice fisted point, but like you touched on, half a goal chance.
Here on pitch side, fair to say, Carl, you've made quite a statement. You want to get any sort of victory, you've got one of the dominant style.
Yeah, I suppose up until the last 15 minutes there it was touch and go, but yeah, listen, our last game out against Michaels, we were disappointed how we performed on the day, so we've had a nice 4 weeks now, put the foot down for a couple of weeks, and yeah, we're happy with that scoreline in the end.
Anybody that comes in and maybe just sees the scoreboard thinks, it's a pretty straightforward game. It was far from that at large periods, and I go back to the couple of 2-pointers he got at the end of the first half. They were big scores.
Yeah, I suppose at half time we were disappointed. I think our shot efficiency was something like 40%, so we weren't clinical enough in the first half, and we had a breeze behind us. So yeah, to go in with 4 points up, we were kind of blessed, and up until the last 15 minutes there, it was, there was only 2 or 3 points in it. and when we started to move the ball a bit quicker, then we found a few gaps. So.
Yeah, I think a real statement of your squad as well. A lot of fresh legs in that final third. You really start to run at them and open things up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's always a boost when you can bring on the likes of Tomo and Evan Nolan on the bench as well. Like, between the two of them, they got us 2 goals and a turnover up front for another one. So when you can bring on that, I suppose it's something we haven't had in recent years. So yeah, everybody's pushing for a place now, which you need. So.
On a personal note, you must be done as well. I think 7 points from wing back.
Yeah,
and you won the penalty.
It was one of those days, yeah, where everything was kind of going my way. So yeah, listen, now put the head down for the next 2 weeks, see who we get this evening, and push on from there. Yeah,
it's really exciting this time of year now, isn't it? I know you've been going long with Galway and everything in between, but things get really exciting now with the semi-final draw, and we see the teams already through.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm sure the 4 teams that we're going to be looking at placing, or 3 teams are all top quality. Like, so there's nothing in between us. So yeah, we're going to look forward to 2 weeks now and give it our best.
How do you do it? Just finally, there's a lot of talk, about in the county and outside the county. You suppose you look at the list of names, you look at the 3 All-Star nominees as well. Does that pressure come into you guys, or how do you manage that type of situation?
Yeah, I think we're fairly grounded inside in our own dressing room, and it's something you'd be used to in Galway as well. You keep the noise within the dressing room and don't listen to anything outside. So like I said, we'll focus on ourselves, we'll brush ourselves down now, watch the video Tuesday and get ready for our opponents now in 2 weeks.
Congratulations, brilliant display, and best of luck in the next round. Thanks, Colin. Thanks very much. So that wraps things up here. It's still a beautiful sunny Salthill. It's certainly sunny from the Salthill Knocknacarra perspective. They have blitzed aside their city and neighbour St James's. They go into the hat. That draw takes place a little bit later on after the last game in Tuam Stadium. But I tell you one thing for nothing, look forward to some jaw-dropping semi-finals to come here on Galway GATV. But from here, and for everyone involved in today's production, we hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed that particular jaw-dropping display of football from Finian Hanny's side. And we will talk to you all very soon. Slán agus Bannacht. They got it. Oh, they certainly did. But Sweeney's 2-pointer has put them 2 points up. Finnerty's going for his 2-pointer. He's nailed it. And they're huge. And they move it off the shoulder, moving quickly. It's just phenomenal stuff.